I'm aware we have a cocktail later this evening, so the last person to sit is adding to the list of sponsors who are sponsoring our wine this evening. So could we take our seats, please? If you're still standing, please take your seat. To our exhibitors and participants who are still at the back, we are kicking off our opening ceremony in very few minutes, and so we would love to allow you to participate in this opening ceremony. So any moment from now, we'll be receiving our guest of honor, who's the Honorable Minister of the Ministry of Agriculture and Animal Resources, and that will kick off our official opening ceremony. And if you're seeing me for the first time, you're hearing this voice for the first time, you're wondering, who's this guy in green? As always, my name is Eugene Anangwe. And I'll be your Masters of Ceremony over the next 2 days of this amazing Africa Coffee and Tea Expo 2026. So when we said you sit, we didn't say you don't talk to each other. So we're going to spend a few minutes just networking from where you are. Just say hello to the person seated next to you. Get to know them. Get to take their business cards if you have to, as we await the arrival of our guest of honor. Ladies and gentlemen, I want us to give a round of applause as we appreciate the guest of honor who's joining us. Let's give him a round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen, appreciation to the Honorable Minister Telesfor Ndawamenye, who's the Minister of Agriculture and Animal Resources. And of course, we appreciate all of you for making the time and for joining us this morning. I'm seeing very familiar faces in the room, and it's so amazing to see all of you looking so sharp. So as we wait for the Honorable Minister to join us in the room, I'd like to see by show of hands, how many of us were here last year? Just put your hands up. Let me hear some noise, a round of applause to all those who are here from the first time. That's amazing, really amazing. And now, let's put our hands together for the Honorable Minister as he joins us. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. We were just doing a roll call check of those who are here at the First Africa Coffee and Tea Expo, and I've seen amazing hands being raised in the room. How many are first-time attendees? Let me see your hands up. Those attending, ooh, this is nice. And how many are visiting Rwanda for the first time? Hands up, please. Yes. Can we give them a round of applause? A wonderful round of applause. Yeah, I must tell you, if you're visiting Rwanda for the first time, you are in the country where it's best to be born a woman. That is something you should know. Yeah. It's also the country where nobody gets to ask you, are you a zebra, if you're crossing the road. I know of countries where you compete with the drivers, and when you're crossing, they tell, are you a zebra? Because they don't want to give you a room to cross the road. It's also a country, just for your information, where you get to keep your phone the longest. I've had mine since 2008. I know of countries where someone will tell you, can I keep that for you? And it's not theirs. So welcome to Rwanda. Thank you for visiting Rwanda. And thank you all for being here at the Africa Coffee and Tea Expo. We're going to kick off this particular opening ceremony, but we start it in style, the Rwandaful way, through introduction of a dancing traditional troupe that will set us off. Ladies and gentlemen, Inayoberana troupe. Let's give them a round of applause as they come to entertain us this morning.
kukizibaziba cya mukunguri nazi yemwe ntore z'u Rwanda yemwe bahungu muhuzi ikirenge bagabo bambaye inka iyo mwiriwe ntarungu
Ahuira hira biti.
Abarza kuzar sabaji.
give them a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. We appreciate that level of energy coming from our traditional dance troupe this morning. And we want to begin our program with the welcome remarks. And the lady I'm about to bring on stage leads the Africa Coffee and Tea Expo as the lead for that particular expo. And she has been driving a Pan-African platform that connects producers, experts, of course, buyers, investors, and policymakers to unlock new trade and investment opportunities across Africa's coffee and tea value chains. Ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together for the lead Africa Coffee and Tea Expo, Rachel Mwaniki. Let's appreciate her as she comes.
Honorable Minister of Agriculture, Animal Resources, ambassadors and members of the diplomatic corps, CEO NAIB, CEO RCB, our esteemed partners, exhibitors, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. All protocols observed. My name is Rachel Mwaniki, the lead for Africa Coffee and Tea Expo. Africa Coffee and Tea Expo is a partnership between three partners. We have NAIB, RCB, and Rwanda Events Group. And it's our pleasure to welcome you to the opening ceremony and also the second edition of the expo here in Rwanda. Your presence today reflects a shared commitment in advancing Africa coffee and tea industry and building stronger partnerships across our continent and beyond. They say that every great cup of tea and coffee starts long before it gets to the cup. It begins with a farmer who plants with hope, a community that nurtures the crop, processors who pursue quality, traders who create market access, innovators who solve challenges, financiers who invest in growth, and buyers who recognize excellence, and all of you are in this room. This is our story. Africa Coffee and Tea Expo was created from a simple belief that Africa needed a platform where the entire value chain could come together, not simply to exhibit products, but to exchange ideas, create opportunities, attract investments, showcase innovation, and shape the future of our industry. Today, the vision continues to grow. What started as an ambitious idea is slowly becoming a trusted African platform that connects government, producers, exporters, manufacturers, technology providers, development partners, international buyers, and because we know that when you connect people, we create opportunities, we build partnerships, and we unlock markets. And when Africa works together, we create prosperity, and we extend far beyond our borders. Over the next 2 days, this expo will bring together over 600 participants from 32 countries, and our theme for this year is Africa Brewing for Prosperity, reminding us that prosperity is not built by one organization, one country, or one institution. It is built through collaboration, innovation, and a shared commitment to creating lasting impact. An event of this scale is not possible because it's only made possible by the different organizations that have partnered with us. And allow me to just say thank you to our sponsors, our platinum sponsors, Africa Global Logistics. Thank you for believing and standing in the front of the platform in growing and moving the African products to the world. To our valued sponsors whose confidence and commitment to this platform helped bring this vision to life. Gorilla Coffee, our barista competition partner. Blackback, our equipment partner. Our industry partners, East Africa Tea Trade Association, Rwanda Mountain Tea, Silverback Tea. Our tea cupping sponsors, Venus Tea Brokers, Atlas Tea Brokers, Combrock Tea Brokers East Africa, and the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations for championing women farmers by making their participation possible through the Women's Farmer Pavilion in celebration of the Year of the Woman Farmer. Our airline partners, Rwanda Air, Kenya Airways for facilitating connectivity and supporting the participation of delegates from across the regions. To the exhibitors from Rwanda, Kenya, Ghana, Uganda, Ethiopia who fill this floor, together with our speakers, moderators, buyers, farmers, delegates, government institutions, development partners, and each and every individual who's in this room. We welcome you and we thank you for your collaboration. As you engage over the next coming days, I encourage you to look beyond the exhibition stands and the conference room. Every conversation here has the potential to become a potential partnership. Every introduction becomes a new market, and every idea could inspire the next innovation. This is the true value of Africa Coffee and Tea Expo. Thank you once again for honoring us with your presence, and I wish you meaningful conversation, successful business engagements, and an enriching Africa Coffee and Tea Expo experience. Thank you so much. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Rachel. I think we should have had more coffee before coming for this session. Can we hear some more wonderful cheers for Rachel? It is not easy putting this together. You know, she's done an amazing work, and I think we should add her. One more. It doesn't hurt. Thank you. I just also want to remind us that in case you have a challenge in terms of the language, we have interpretation actually going on. We have the interpretation sets. You could be able to pick one, or you could find it next to you. Channel 1 is English. Channel 2 is Kinyarwanda. I never lie. The only time I lied is when I said I understand and speak French. Then I said, Je suis malade à la tête, and it was a big problem. So we're just going to do English and Kinyarwanda translation. In case you need support, please get a hold of the simultaneous translation devices. We're going to move next and hear from our platinum sponsor. And I would like us to bring to the stage the cluster managing director of the Africa Global Logistics, AGL. That is none other than Roger Ngobito. He oversees Rwanda and Burundi. Let's give him a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
Honorable Minister, Your Excellencies, Ambassadors, Captains of Industry, partners in business, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. We, AGL, Africa Global Logistics, are very honored and pleased to sponsor this gathering and this Africa Coffee and Tea Expo. And we do it for a reason, because we, as the largest and biggest logistics player on the continent, the largest integrated logistics provider on different markets where we operate in 49 countries in Africa, we are a key player and we see this happening. And when we talk about logistics for commodities like coffee and tea and other soft commodities, it's not only moving the cargo from point A to point B. It's much more than that. It implies integrated logistics, it implies warehousing, it implies financing, it implies inventory management, it implies compliance, it implies as well a new concept now, what we call supply chain resilience. You know what is happening in the Middle East, where actually logistics and movement of cargo can be disrupted with geopolitics and other things. And as traders and as commodity players, we can't afford delays, disruptions, and getting out of the market as a result of these effects. So we as AGL, we are there to support, manage these inconveniences. First of all, we focus on the strategy of corridors, because commodities move through corridors. And when you talk about a corridor, you talk about multimodal solutions. It can be rail, it can be road, it can be lake, it can be different modes of transport. It requires availability of equipment, containers, food-grade containers, reliable and compliant equipment. It requires also understanding of the flow of logistics, predictability of the transit times of the routes, of the solutions that can be available at origin, during the transit, and at different ports of discharge around the world. We are strong partners, and we are owned by the #1 shipping line in the world, Mediterranean Shipping Company, MSC, This gives us huge and incomparable leverage. Yeah? We can deliver commodities from anywhere in the world to anywhere in the world. That's one. Two, we go beyond that and we are into financing, helping players, bankers, financial institutions, traders, farmers, producers to access finance through solutions that we have developed, like collateral management, where actually we help people in the trading and in the farming, the production, and the banks to manage the inventories, to allow the banks to release the funds, working capital, while banks are secured, know that the cargo is under control, visibility reporting, and we also have other solutions like vendor managed inventories that allows to get volumes and stock and inventories closer to the market with lower cost, with better visibility, with better predictability, and to be able to manage this unpredictability of logistics that can happen at any time in the world. So to sum it up, we would like to ask you to focus on the opportunities that this expo will offer you. I'm sure you have few challenges, but I would invite you to throw the challenges our way. We will manage them for you, and we transform your challenges into your competitive advantage to the markets where you operate. I thank you.
If I don't do like I did for Rachel, I'll have beef with Roger. Can we appreciate him one more time? Thank you. And what Roger says is that the solutions to the challenges that coffee and tea traders have will not only come from those who will be seen at the front here. We all hold those solutions. We have them. And that is why I would like us to be able to be so focused on finding those solutions and having that real talk and real conversations on those issues that we need to fix that still stand as bottlenecks for the coffee and tea traders. We'll now hear from our development partners, and I'd like to bring on the stage the FAO representative in Rwanda, Mohamed Aoudahil. Let's appreciate him as he comes to a speech today.
Thank you very much. Honorable Minister, Excellency Ambassadors, and there are many of them here, I know over 10 of them, the UN Resident Coordinator, the Chief Executive Officer of NAIP, the CEO of Rwanda Development Board, CEO officers and heads of institutions, public and private and international, ACT, representative of development partners and the UN agencies, representative of private sector, distinguished delegates and partners, dear exporters, farmers, ladies and gentlemen. As we say in West Africa, I stand on all the existing protocols. Good morning to you all. I want to take this opportunity to, on behalf of the UN system, to welcome you to Kigali, one of the safest, greenest, and cleanest city in the world. On behalf of the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, it's my great pleasure to be with you here today at the Africa Coffee and Tea Expo 2026. It's very impressive that ACT 2026 managed to bring together more than 600 participants from over 30 countries. Very impressive. It brings producers, buyers, exporters, policymakers, investors, innovators, and development partners into one space to promote collaborations, innovations, and business opportunities. This expo provides an opportunity and very important platform to strengthen partnership, facilitate market access, promote investment, and showcase Africa's premium coffee and tea. This is not only an exhibition, it's a trade platform, it's an investment window, and it is a knowledge space. Coffee and tea are among Africa's most strategic export commodities. They provide livelihoods for millions of small farmers, create employment opportunities, and contribute significantly to export earnings and the economic development of African nations. As you probably know, agriculture is broadly the backbone of Rwanda's economy, providing employment for over half of all the Rwandans and contributing approximately a quarter of the country's GDP. And coffee and tea are the most important contributors. Rwanda has demonstrated a strong commitment to the developing competitive and sustainable coffee and tea subsectors. This contribution is clearly reflected in the country's national development agenda, including NST2 and BSTA5. Those are two very important national strategies which recognize these two value chains as a key drivers of agricultural transformation and of the economy through the increase in export earnings. FAO is pleased to contribute to this journey through evidence-based policy support and the investment plans. Not only investment, but quality investment. Through initiatives such as the Hand in Hand, which includes coffee and tea and other value chains, FAO works with the government, particularly with MINAGRI, Minister of Agriculture, and NAIB, to accelerate agriculture transformation by leveraging data, opportunities, and investment plans where they can have greatest impact. These investment plans are presented every year in FAO's Global Investment Forum in Italy, Rome, Italy, to help government member states to attract investment. FAO is organizing a regional investment forum next month, August, here in Kigali, and I take this opportunity to invite you. Rwanda's coffee and tea sectors are already strong investment cases. In partnership with NAIB, that's National Agricultural Export Board of Rwanda, FAO is supporting the development of the Rwanda's tea strategy, which aims to strengthen productivity, value addition, improve competitiveness, expand export, and ultimately increase incomes for tea farmers. The future of Rwanda's coffee sector will not be defined by the volume alone. It will be driven by quality, traceability, climate-smart production systems, strong branding, value addition, and more importantly, direct access to premium international markets. Rwanda is well positioned for this future, and FAO is proud to support the strengthening of Rwanda's coffee traceability system helping producers comply with emerging international market requirements, including the EU deforestation regulation, while enhancing transparency, market access, and the long-term competitiveness of the sector. This year holds particular significance as we celebrate the International Year of the Women Farmers globally, in recognition of their contribution to agriculture as a whole sector, especially in the coffee and tea subsectors, where they are contributing substantially to production, processing, and marketing. I therefore encourage all participants to visit the Women Pavilion, which FAO is proud to support in partnership with NAIB and ACT. I also invite you to join the Women Farmers panel discussion, which will be organized here, where the women farmers themselves will share their contribution, experience, innovation, and aspirations for the future of the coffee and tea subsectors. No agriculture sector can reach its full potential without strong participation, sound policies, innovation, and investment. Let ACT 2026 be more than an exhibition. Let it become a platform for building lasting partnership, attracting investment, empowering women farmers, and strengthening Africa's position as a trusted supplier of high-quality coffee and tea. FAO remains committed to supporting country in building more efficient, inclusive, resilient, and sustainable agri-food systems. FAO looks forward to continuing its collaboration with the government and the people of Rwanda, NAIB, ACT, and all partners in advancing sustainable and inclusive coffee and tea value chains. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish you a successful expo and fruitful discussion, and a good luck to the competitors.
Another round of applause to Mohammed, please. Now, I'd like to switch languages here. Navuga mu gisope gatoya. Gisope cyangwa mu Kinyarwanda. Kinyarwanda kinozi. Aka kantu kagufasha. Kafitemo umuntu uri kukivugiramo. Iyo avuze mu Cyongereza, wowe uramwumva ari kuvuga mu Kinyarwanda. Ni magic. Arimo magic hano. So niba ugakeneye, zamura akaboko hejuru, hari abantu bagiye kukaguha. Oh, so we are all okay, eh? Niba ugakeneye, please raise your hand up. Zamura akaboko, hari umuntu ugiye kukaguha. Aha. Hariya, can we give it out? Yeah, just keep your hand up. Shira akaboko hejuru cyane. All right, so please, once you get it, nukabona, Kinyarwanda ni kabiri. Channel ya kabiri. Channel 2 is Kinyarwanda, channel 1 is English. Just in case, we just want to make sure we don't leave anybody behind when it comes to the language that we're using up here on stage. I want us now to hear from our diplomatic partners, and of course we'll be hearing from a lady who leads the EU's diplomatic engagement with Rwanda. She supports the advancing of cooperation in trade, sustainable development, investment, and of course governance and the EU-Rwanda partnership. Ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together for Her Excellency Belen Calvo, European Union Ambassador to Rwanda.
Honorable Minister, the CEO of NAEB, RDB colleagues, representatives from government, dear colleagues, partners, farmers, captains of industry, and all coffee and tea lovers. So good morning, Mwaramutse. So it is a great pleasure to be here today to open the Africa Coffee and Tea Expo 2026 in Kigali and in the beautiful pavilion we will be later today enjoying all the stands. I hope you've all had a cup of coffee or tea this morning and we are all energized for the day ahead. So this expo is a celebration of African excellence. It's a celebration of two commodities, tea and coffee, that connect communities, continents, people. Coffee and tea link the beautiful hills of Rwanda, where we pick the tulips and the pekoe or wash the coffee terraces by the shores of Lake Kivu, with everyone around the world who savors quality and craftsmanship everywhere. In every cup, there is a journey that connects rural communities to global market, that connects and generates products of excellence and carries the identity of Africa to the world. For the European Union, coffee and tea are part of our long-standing partnership and relationship with the continent, with farmers, with cooperatives, with processors and exporters, with women and young entrepreneurs who are shaping the future of these sectors. And our message today is simple. Europe wants to remain a reliable, open, and ambitious partner for African coffee and tea sectors. We want to continue enjoying the coffee in European markets, but we also want to become a stronger, more resilient, more inclusive, and valuable for the countries and communities that produce them. And this is the spirit of the Global Gateway Strategy, which is not investment label only, but is a partnership offer. And it's a partnership offer also in the coffee and tea sectors, which means that we are supporting the conditions under which producers can move from vulnerability to resilience, from raw commodity export to higher value creation, and from fragmented supply chain to trusted transparency and competitive markets. We know that in the journey going forward, there will be 4 transitions or 4 milestones. The first will be climate resilience, where coffee and tea are deeply exposed to climate change, shifting rainfall, higher temperatures, soil degradation. They already affect productivity and quality, and the response must be practical and farm-centered. These are not just environmental luxuries, they are economic necessities, and we're ready, we are partnering. The second transition is value addition, where Africa should increasingly capture more value through processing, branding, quality differentiation, logistics, tourism linkage, and direct market relations. Because the story of African coffee and tea does not stop at the farm gate or the auction floor, it will continue through African enterprise, brands, innovation, and quality. Third is the trade connectivity and finance. Producers and cooperatives often know what needs to be done, but they lack affordable finance to invest in replanting, certification, traceability, equipment, or quality upgrading. And there we can indeed partner your efforts with the Global Gateway Strategy. At the same time, we heard it before, the market access depends not only on tariffs, but also on logistics, on the standards, certification, corridors, predictability, and trust. And we see that there are partners engaging in this area. We salute also the efforts of the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement, and we are ready to engage in this area. And the fourth is transition and inclusion, where the future of coffee and tea will depend on whether young people see opportunity in these sectors, and whether women receive the recognition for the work they do, the service and finance they deserve. Youth and women entrepreneurs, and a competitive sector must be an inclusive sector that brings everybody on board. So, ladies and gentlemen, we also recognize that the access to international market is increasingly linked to sustainability, transparency, and due diligence. The EU deforestation regulation contributes to this transition and is a journey of trust to deliver also to a high level of ambition on environmental aspirations. Implementation must be practical, predictable, and inclusive of smallholders. And this is why we're already working together in investing in dialogue, in traceability system, in forest and land use data, in a way that we build competitiveness in the sector. Rwanda's producers are showing that excellence and responsibility go in hand, and this is the positive agenda we want to advance together. So the partnership is already taking concrete forms. We're working already with Ethiopia, we're working with Tanzania, we're working with Uganda, where our biggest effort is confirmed in important allocation, but also work on research and innovation. And we're working here in Rwanda together with NAEB, working on the quality infrastructure, including the lab, to improve the quality of Rwanda coffee and tea exports. And I would invite you to do the coffee cupping at NAEB. And also working on preparedness for the EU deforestation regulation implementation, including the national coffee census and the pilot of traceability of the coffee plots. So Rwanda has shown that quality, organization, branding, and sustainability can be part of a national value chain strategy, which is across Africa, we see the same ambition to produce better, trade better qualities, and more local value addition. So with this, I would like just to close with a triple commitment, a commitment to continue a strong market and partner for the African coffee and tea, a commitment to continue supporting the transition that combines sustainability with competitiveness, climate resilience with farmers' livelihood, and a commitment to promote a partnership that is based on trust, investment, and shared opportunity. And with this, I wish you all a very fruitful exchange and strong partnerships that will come out of this expo. Thank you very much. Murakoze cyane.
Thank you so much, Her Excellency. I want us now to get our hands together to introduce our chief guest, who has had over close to 30 years of experience in agriculture and food systems, and he continues to lead Rwanda's agenda to modernize agri-food systems, to strengthen value chains and increase agricultural exports. Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Minister of Agriculture and Animal Resources, Honorable Telesphore Ndaumini. Let's appreciate him, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, thank you very much. I do hope that everyone in the room has got a cup of coffee or tea this morning. So, Your Excellencies, ambassadors, members of diplomatic corps, representative of our development partners and international institutions, captains of industry and the leaders. So today I heard the word of captains of industries and the leaders of farmers' cooperatives, distinguished exhibitors, hosted by and the delegates, buyers and the delegates, members of press, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, everyone. It is my proud honor to welcome you to Kigali and to host the Africa Coffee and Tea Expo here in Rwanda, the land of 1,000 hills. Those are the hills, those rich soils and high altitudes have for generations given the world some of its finest coffee and tea. Those could know more fitting place to gather as one of the continent around two crops, coffee and tea, that carries so much of our history and so much of our promise. Coffee and tea are far more than commodities. They are a heritage, and most importantly, they are livelihoods. Across Africa, tens of millions of smallholder farmers, a great many of them women and youth people, rise before dawn to tend those crops. They work, sustain families, educate children, and earn foreign exchange that help to build our nations. For example, Rwanda exported about 40 million kilograms of tea and generated income of about 120 million in the year of 2025. So during the same period, Rwanda exported around 20 million kilograms of coffee and generated income of about 140 million US dollar. So let us also remember a simple truth. Africa gave the world the coffee. From the highlands of this region, the coffee plant traveled to every corner of the earth. And yet, for too long, our continent, this is very important, our continent has exported its harvest as raw green beans, only to buy it back as a finished product at a much higher price. This must change. And it is changing. The future of African coffee and tea lies not only in how much we grow, but in how much value we add before our products leave our shores. In roasting, blending, packaging, branding, and in telling our own history to the world. With the African continent free trade area, we have a one-in-generation opportunity to trade more with one another, to let Africans enjoy African coffee and tea, and to build regional value chains that keep more value and more jobs here on one continent, transforming our challenges into our opportunities, as it has been said. To seize this opportunity, we must confront our challenges and protect those climate-sensitive crops through climate-smart and conservation agriculture, resilient varieties, and careful stewardship of our soils and water. We must compete at every top of the specialty market on quality. We must open the doors of finance and invest in our farmers and processors. And above all, we must make agriculture sector of opportunity, innovation, dignity for our young people. It is precisely where the Africa Coffee and Tea Expo earns its place. It is where opportunity becomes action. Under one roof, it brings together producers and buyers, investors and innovators, policymakers, and the partners to do business, to learn, and to forge partnerships that has to last longer. It is marketplace and a meeting of minds. It is a celebration of excellence through the Barista Championship and the cupping competition, where the skills and the quality of African coffee and tea are placed proudly on display. And it is a bridge between the African farmer and the global market, between heritage and prosperity. So Rwanda is proud to host this gathering. The government of Rwanda has placed agriculture at the very heart of our national transformation, it has been said. And we have worked hard to build a transparent and enabling environment for trade and investment. Through the National Agriculture Export Development Board and our partners, of course, we remain steadfast in our commitment of quality to our farmers and to opening new market. We really need new opportunities. Therefore, to the investors, the buyers, partners in the room, let me say it plainly. Rwanda is open for business. You will find here a stable, a welcoming, and a forward-looking partnership ready to build the value chains of the future together with you. So, to our farmers and the cooperatives, this platform is yours. Seize it. To our exhibitors and the hosted buyers, may your conversations here turn into lasting contracts, shifting from the talk to the contracts. To investors and the development partners, partner with us to add value, to finance the value chain, and to empower our youth and the women. And to many fellows Africans, let us at least drink our own coffee and tea with pride. And let us build together the value chains that turn our shared heritage into the shared prosperity. Allow me to commend the organizers of this Africa Coffee and Tea Expo, the National Agriculture Export Development Board, NAEB, the Rwanda Convention Bureau, Rwanda Events organizers, and all other sponsors. The money is the engine of life. And the partners for their vision, tireless work to bring this on board. Your effort honor our farmers and advance our commitment. It is a time to act now. It is a time to shift from the talk to the real action. It is now my distinguished honor and privilege to declare the Africa Coffee and Tea Expo 2026 officially open. I wish you fruitful deliberations, profitable partnerships, and a thoroughly memorable stay here in Rwanda, Kigali. I thank you so much. Enjoy your day.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. We can do much better, and appreciate the Honorable Minister quite well. It is time to drink our coffee and tea with what? With pride. I didn't hear you. With what? Yes. Can someone give me my cup, please? Okay, during the coffee and tea break. But well done. Thank you very much for that. And I think what the Honorable Minister also said, it is time to move from talk to what? Action. Thank you very much. Now, we're going to go to our next session. But before we do that, we might not be able to move from talk to action if we do not connect even more. And I think one of the major reasons why we're here is also to network. On the journey of the Africa Coffee and Tea Expo. DJ, roll it, please. Let's go.
Every cup of coffee, every cup of tea begins thousands of kilometers from where it is finally enjoyed. It begins on African soil, in our farms, our factories, our communities. Yet for generations, too much of that journey has been decided somewhere else. Africa grows some of the world's finest coffee and tea, but growing is only the beginning. The future of our industry depends on something more. Better markets, stronger partnerships, smarter logistics, greater value addition, investment, innovation, and conversations that bring the entire value chain together. That is why Africa Coffee and Tea Expo exists. 1 year ago, we opened the doors to a new idea, a marketplace built for Africa's coffee and tea industry, an exhibition where producers met buyers, where businesses discovered new opportunities, where conversations crossed borders and partnerships began. Today, that journey continues. Over the next 2 days, this becomes Africa's coffee and tea marketplace, a place where buyers meet producers, exporters discover new markets, innovators showcase solutions, industry leaders shape policy, young entrepreneurs find opportunity, and every conversation has the potential to become the next partnership, the next investment, the next export, the next success story. Over the next 2 days, ideas will be challenged, products will be discovered, coffee will be tasted, champions will be crowned, business will be negotiated, markets will be unlocked. Because this isn't simply an event, it's where Africa's coffee logistics, greater value addition, investment, innovation, and conversations that bring the entire value chain together. That is why Africa Coffee&Tea Expo exists. 1 year ago, we opened the doors to a new idea, a marketplace built for Africa's coffee and tea industry, an exhibition where producers met buyers, where businesses discovered new opportunities, where conversations crossed borders and partnerships began. Today, that journey continues. Over the next 2 days, this becomes Africa's coffee and tea marketplace, a place where buyers meet producers, exporters discover new markets, innovators showcase solutions, industry leaders shape policy, young entrepreneurs find opportunity, and every conversation has the potential to become the next partnership, the next investment, the next export, the next success story. Over the next 2 days, ideas will be challenged, products will be discovered, coffee will be tasted, champions will be crowned, business will be negotiated, markets will be unlocked. Because this isn't simply an event, it's where Africa's coffee and tea business comes together. The future of Africa's coffee and tea industry will not be written by one farmer, one exporter, one buyer, or one nation alone. It will be built through partnership, through trade, through shared ambition. And there is no better place for that conversation, higher value chain together. That is why Africa Coffee&Tea Expo exists. 1 year ago, we opened the doors to a new idea, a marketplace built for Africa's coffee and tea industry, an exhibition where producers met buyers, where businesses discovered new opportunities, where conversations crossed borders and partnerships began. Today, that journey continues. Over the next 2 days, this becomes Africa's coffee and tea marketplace, a place where buyers meet producers, exporters discover new markets, innovators showcase solutions, industry leaders shape policy, young entrepreneurs find opportunity, and every conversation has the potential to become the next partnership, the next investment, the next export, the next success story. Over the next 2 days, ideas will be challenged, products will be discovered, coffee will be tasted, champions will be crowned, business will be negotiated, markets will be unlocked. Because this isn't simply an event, it's where Africa's coffee and tea business comes together. The future of Africa's coffee and tea industry will not be written by one farmer.
All right, thank you very much. Let's now take our seats. We are ready for the next session. Appreciate it so much. The networking has been amazing, and I'm hoping that business deals have come out of this, connections have come out of this. I'd like to introduce the next session. And so I'd like to request all of us to take our seats.
the world produced 7.2 billion kilos of tea. That was an increase of production. At the same time, the global export of tea went to 2.01 billion kilos, which was an increase of 5.2%. That is good because you see production is going on, is increasing, consumption is increasing, but the question will ask you, the increased export from Africa, what is the value of export? And that is the reason why I support the minister's statement. We need to drink our tea and coffee with pride. When you look at Africa, Africa in the year 2025 produced 10% of global tea. Africa produced 747 million kilos of tea. At the same time, Africa controlled 37% of global tea export. That 37% global tea export is huge because Asia produced 89% of global tea production. But what will shock you is that Asia consumed most of their tea, and I will explain the 59% export with the succeeding slides. China was the largest producer at 3.9 billion kilos, and they consumed 3.6 billion kilos of their own production. India produced 1.3 billion kilos and consumed 1.2 billion kilos of their own production. Africa produced 747 million kilos and exported 748 million kilos. We'll come to that slide. Kenya prides itself as the market leader in terms of export, exporting an average of 580 million kilos. And I'll ask you the value of that export. Number two, the auction which we manage is a regional auction. And I'm glad to report in this meeting that Rwanda leads in that auction in terms of value. Can you give a round of applause to Rwanda? In the year 2025, Rwanda led in terms of price per kilo, average price per kilo of $2.98 per kilo, followed by Kenya at 2.32. You can see a huge disparity in price. So what sells in the global market, and I applaud my brother, the CEO of NAEB, you have done a fantastic job. Keep it up. It is not the quantity that we export, but the value of what we export. Rwanda is a tiny country, produced 40 million kilos in 2025, and you heard what they exported? Over 40 million at a value of 1.2 million US dollars. That shows you that money is in the value. You look at production, Kenya 2025, production declined by 8.3%, same to Uganda, production declined by 18.6%, same to Burundi, 19.6%, but Rwanda, you did a fantastic job. Rwanda and Tanzania, we applaud you. 4.8% increase in production. Even though Rwanda increased their production by 4.8%, the value of their tea did not go down because they maintained the ethos and the ethics of the tea agronomics, tea manufacture to maintain their value proposition as a global leader in tea export. Allow me to report informally that I was shocked. I went to one of the streets in London, walked around, got a shop selling tea. I insisted I need to get African tea. They removed a bucket full of Rwanda BP1. I asked them, I need to buy this tea. Do you know what they told me? The price per kilo of Rwanda BP1 was 250 pounds. Do the maths, where is the value? The same tea was sold at $4 at the auction of Mombasa. The same tea is selling in London at 250 pounds. It is high time Africa position themselves appropriately. Because we don't want to drink our tea. We don't want to drink our coffee. We give our best to the world, and they're the ones who drive value from that tea. Look at the value disparity, $4 to 50 pounds. It is high time we went back to the drawing board. What are we not getting right as Africa? Production is based on what we have explained, but production alone does not give our farmers value. It is the quality of what you produce that gives value in the international market. I mentioned regional exports. We held very firm. Kenya 580. Total, you can see, Africa exported 747 million kilos. But what is surprising, they did import back 434. Is it making sense? You take out 700 million kilos to other people as raw material, they go add value, and you bring it back, 434 million. It is high time we thought outside the box. It is high time we started drinking our own. Africa has a population of 1.4 billion billion people. If every African consumed 1.45 grams of tea in one day, which is less than a tea bag in a day, we are able to consume all our teas in Africa and import tea from other continents. That is the direction we need to take as Africa. And it is our plea to Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement. Let us address the trade barriers. Let us address the challenges created by economic regional blocks. Because every region, including EAC, Rwanda wants to take their tea to Kenya. Kenya charges Rwanda, charges Uganda something called excess duty. It is immoral to be in one economic region and you still treat your partner states, the goods from your partner states, as imports. These are honest engagements that governments of the East African region need to address to make sure that we have a competitive advantage in the global market. What is our projected growth in terms of market? Data demonstrates very well that Pakistan has been leading in the bulk tea imports from Africa. Pakistan currently doing over an average of 40%. To my fellow Africans, you can see Pakistan 40%, Egypt, UK is 9%, Iraq is growing, Morocco is growing, UAE 5%, they're growing. But look here, if one country is controlling your 40% of import as a commodity, that is a huge concentration risk. And that is the reason why I supported the minister's statement. It is high time we started drinking our own tea and coffee so that we get value from the commodity within Africa. Now, the traditional markets have been going down. UK, Russia, the consumption is going down. What will we do to sustain the tea market and tea ecosystem in Africa? Consume your own tea. Don't force the world with what you have. I think that is what we have been doing. We are literally forcing the world with our coffee, literally forcing the world with our tea. This is basically what was imported back to Africa. Why can't these African countries, Egypt, Morocco, Libya, the way we have enumerated, why can't we promote intra-African trade? And how can we promote intra-African trade? And what are the bottlenecks to intra-African trade so that Africans will have the opportunity to drink their own? And that is the reason why we are appealing to, through Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement, that continental free trade should offer preferential access to African market. Let us address these bottlenecks. Some of them are just from the protectionist ideas of countries. Let us break the barriers, make Africa borderless, create free movement of people, create a common customs to make sure that we give value to what we produce in Africa. What are our challenges that we have to address? The global supply. You have seen that Africa controls 37% of global tea, but the value we get from it is depressed. And with the disruption of global supply from geopolitics and the surplus, every year, tea, almost 400 million kilos of tea is produced above demand. That means we carry over every year over 400 million kilos. That depresses the performance of teas in the auction. Now, number two is climate and supply volatility. You are all aware that we are exposed to the impacts of climate change. And it is our responsibility as Africa to design climate-resilient mitigation measures to ensure that tea and coffee production is sustained. We must ensure that we develop very resilient cultivars to the changes in terms of weather patterns, reliability of rainfall, rainfall distribution, changes in terms of temperature, frost incidences, drought-tolerant cultivars to make sure that coffee and tea production is sustained. Now, you are all aware, last year, 2025, China, that has been consuming almost above 90% of their production of tea, exported 418 million. They overtook Sri Lanka and they overtook India. And I can assure this group, if nothing is done, China will overtake even Kenya in terms of tea export. We need to position ourselves, create a market for ourselves as Africa, and only be able to export surplus that cannot be consumed by Africans. Number two, the softening legacy markets. You've seen a growing decline in terms of legacy markets like UK. They're no longer going for traditional teas. They're going for premium teas. They're going for flavored teas, the teas or drinks associated with health benefits. We need to position ourselves in that space to capture that market. Then affordable finance. I know we have challenges, and I'm glad that development partners are here to support trade, right from production across the tea and coffee value chain. Then we have costly logistics. If I have asked the shipping lines here, why they have not dedicated a shipping line to be exporting African products to African countries, they will tell you that the export from Africa cannot sustain their businesses. And the number two, due to lack of developed infrastructure, the road and rail network, shipping tea from port of Mombasa to West Africa takes more than 3 months, and it is very costly, both for exporters and for the shipping line. So it is high time Africa as a continent sat together, designed their own logistic hubs to make sure that we create the last mile connectivity from the point of production to the point of consumption, then of a reliance on traditional markets, which I've already mentioned, and then product differentiation. Let's not over-rely on one single type of product, CTCT. I'm glad that last year in September, we introduced Orthodox Tea Auction, and I'm happy to report that the Orthodox Tea Auction has kicked on well, giving better value than CTC, and Rwanda is also in that space. As I finish, we need to focus keenly on this. Grow the Middle East and North African market in terms of tea. Consider to venture and invest more into value addition. Let us not export raw material. We can do it in Africa. I'm glad that we have initiated discussions with a development partner in Kenya to help us develop what we call a common user facility where all our members, because we sell tea from 10 African countries, can bring their products, add value, brand their teas, and export the teas in value-added form. We have diversified into orthodox and specialty teas, and I believe that with the concerted support and effort from this tea team, Africa should be able to make a great stride. Thank you, and God bless you.
AFCFTA agreement, which is the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, it's an agreement that was negotiated by member states. It is a member state-driven project. It is member states that actually direct the way to which they want this project to gravitate towards. We have, together with member states and the Secretariat providing the necessary administrative function, completed the negotiation of the key instruments, rather the legal framework that supports the implementation of the agreement in the African continent. That process has been completed, and we are now moving, or rather gravitating towards full implementation stage of the agreement. What does this mean? It means state bodies are now at the most opportune time to put into effect, into practice, those commitments that they have undertaken under the agreement in terms of making sure that they liberalize trade between themselves, with the reduction of tariffs, with the elimination of non-tariff barriers. Those are the key areas that the agreement seeks to assist state parties in making sure that we boost and increase intra-Africa trade. Most of the speakers in the room today have actually alluded to the fact that intra-Africa trade, trading amongst ourselves as African, remains modest for all the time. What is it that is lacking between us as African parties to actually appreciate the need and the importance of starting to increase trade amongst ourselves? At the AFCFTA Secretariat, the challenges that we have identified, and which the room, of course, have identified today, is the issue of logistics and transport logistics. Why is it that our transport and logistic infrastructure is always directed towards the sea? This is a long-standing relation with how our trade has been, developed or has been focused. It has always been focused to third country trade, and in the process overlooking trade within ourselves. We need to address our infrastructure logistics systems. That is the key area that the Secretariat is working on in terms of building, connectivity within the continent in terms of the corridors, the trade corridors that are being developed from each region, making sure that the trading companies that we have in the continent are able to service the market and the businesses that we have that have the potential to grow or that are already on export trade. The agreement focuses on private sector mainly, because it's not governments that have negotiated the agreement that will eventually be trading, rather, but enterprises, SMEs, big and small, business players are the ones that are very key for actually driving and leveraging the agreement. What is it that at the AFCFTA we are doing in terms of making sure that our private sector is the main player and in the center of all the activities that are happening at the AFCFTA? So at the moment, as we gravitate towards full implementation, it is at the stage that state parties are able to come up to say, what is it that they need as state parties to make sure that their participation is not just participation, but a meaningful participation that will actually gravitate towards making sure that the private sector in their respective state parties are able to leverage and actually reap the benefits that lies under the agreement. I'll stop here for now.
Yes, thank you very much. And from the two interventions we had, it looks like logistics plays a very important role in trade. And Martin, from the logistics perspective, where are the biggest bottleneck?
Thank you, Martin, for that question. And good morning, everybody in the room.
Good morning.
Yeah, I can see Malanga has fired the first shot at logistics. But indeed, it's It's a very interesting conversation. And allow me to just put two numbers on the table. Rwanda exported roughly 40 million kilos of tea in 2025. At the same time, Ghana imported, or their consumption is around 33 million kilos of tea. But how much of that, actually, of Ghana's imports came from Rwanda's exports? And in there lies really the heart of the discussion. So what role do we see, or some of what are the issues we see around logistics? One is, if you look, we say logistics is costly, but if you look at price of tea in Mombasa, $2.5, $3, Rwanda tea, which is good, is $4. In Ghana, the same tea is $8. $8 to $13, $8, $10, $13. It cannot just be a question of a logistic cost in there. It's actually how we plan the movement of this tea. So from a regional perspective, and we talk a bit about AFTA and the support that it can bring. But we do see issues around, first is infrastructure. And this infrastructure is not just the road or the port, but it's also how does that tea get from farm? How does it get to a port? Or how does it move then into the country of destination? And how is it warehoused? All that is an infrastructural discussion. We also do see issues around, and this we can see it more and more, is geopolitics. Red Sea, we had a major crisis. Tea was not moving. We had the Middle East, now the Iraq issue, Iran, and look at the ripple effects that it has had. So the question is, how are we going to develop, and I think Roger touched on it, what we called corridors and in-country solutions. And I think the other issue that we also do see is a lot of fragmentation, whether it's brought about by competition, so everybody's competing against everybody. Is it brought about by lack of trust and lack of partnerships? And of course, we have regulatory issues. For me to move tea from, let's say, Kigali or Nairobi into Chad, which is a major and very good consumer of tea, look at all the regulatory issues that you will face. Some may be trade, some may be just purely, it's something that we need to solve. So we come back and ask ourselves as AGL, and let me give an example, because last year we worked on a case study, and we said, what we would like to do to bring tea from Kigali, from Mombasa into the west of Africa. How are we going to solve this question? It cannot always be real time. We as AGL are good in driving or investing in infrastructure, investing in those solutions. Because the question here is not a question of product. We have the product, we have the market. And it's just how do you connect those two? So maybe as we go along and what do I see as the biggest solution is partnerships. And these partnerships are around, AGL will be good to develop for you a warehouse, a hub in a certain country. Now, how do we bring the product? Leave that to us. We have got many producers in the room, and we have got many customers also. And our job, therein lies the solution to connect the two of us.
Thank you very much, Martin. We have mentioned infrastructure. And living in a region, the biggest infrastructure we have is not other than the port of Kenya. How do you relate, based on the intervention of Martin, and how can we be more efficient in that perspective?
Thank you, Dr. Martin. Good morning, delegates. Yes, so for us as a port and how we facilitate, we believe that for us to have complete connectivity, of course, there's a challenge of last mile connectivity, yeah, because we already have the ports, we already have the roads, we have the inland container depots. So we need, as Martin said, we need to have stronger partnerships. For us, we are investing in strategic partnerships so that we ensure that we complete the last mile, so that we leverage on all this infrastructure that we have invested in. Because, for example, as Kenya Ports Authority, we have the inland container depots in Naivasha and Nairobi, and these have direct connectivity to through rail to the port of Mombasa. So people can drop off their export cargoes in the depots, which are closer inland, and this can be railed to Mombasa. And the SGR, the standard gauge railway, is being extended through Kisumu to Malaba, which will bring this even closer home. So exporters from Rwanda can drop their cargo in Uganda border, and this can be railed directly to Mombasa. So I think we already have a lot of infrastructure in place. What remains is just making sure that we have seamless integration of data so that we reduce the delays which happen at the border points. And also we make sure that we reduce the cost of last mile so that the costs of inland transportation do not eat into the profit margins of the farmers, because I think that is one challenge that we still face, but I believe we can find solutions through our partnerships. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, thank you, Rita. I will go directly to Giovanni. We have heard George intervention on buyer and farmer. How do you defend this point as a buyer and as a person that is involved mainly in coffee?
Thank you. Okay, first of all, I would like to precise that I'm not really a buyer.
Yeah.
I'm actually representing the European Business Chamber in Rwanda. Yeah. So, European businesses in Rwanda. Yeah. I'm also the Honorary Consul of Italy. So I know Italian companies are quite famous for being big buyers of coffee. And what I know from contacts I've had with Italian coffee companies is that, I've asked them, but, the likes of Illy or Lavazza that some of you may know, and I said, why don't you guys come in Rwanda and buy? And they say, Giovanni, volume. And, and also we need to be sure that every year that volume is being produced. Now, unfortunately, Rwanda, remains a very small producer, so it doesn't appear on the radar screens of companies like Illy and Lavazza. I know that recently, I think it's Illy, they signed an agreement with Uganda, and they started importing a lot of coffee from Uganda. But I mean, so when we come to volume, it's not about having more land dedicated to coffee. I think that one of the big issues is productivity. I'm also the owner of a company here, Agrotech. We are involved in selling products to farmers, and I've been looking at this issue of productivity of coffee plants, in this country for the last 30 years or so. And it's low, and it's dramatically low. When you compare what they have in Vietnam, we are 5-8 times lower. Colombia, okay, maybe there they have Robusta, but you take another country that does Arabica, Colombia, they have productivity that is 2-3 times more. And, so to me, one of the main issues is increase the productivity. And to increase the productivity, you need to have an active role of government. I'm a private businessman. I really believe in private enterprise, but in some cases, you really need government intervention, government coordination. and promote land productivity. In this case, use of fertilizers. Ensure that the new plants are being planted. That all trees are being eradicated and new plants put in, etc., etc. And especially in a country like Rwanda, where you have small farmers. When there are in other countries like in Brazil, for example, where you have very big companies, maybe they can have access to finance or whatever. But in a country like Rwanda, they need help from government in one way or another. So yeah. So coming back to it's volume, reliability. One other thing that I would push for African countries in general. Is to look into innovation. For example, I have a son that produces kombucha in Barcelona. He uses Rwandan tea, and maybe that's something that African countries could get more involved directly. Another one is matcha. I am a co-owner of a coffee shop here called Tugende, and we have started selling matcha. Because matcha is what Gen Z likes. And we buy it here, $300 per kilo. Okay, it comes from Japan. Why cannot Rwanda get involved with that? Or other African countries? Because that is a new trend. I mean, when I was told that we're buying matcha at $300 a kilo, I couldn't believe it. Anyway, that's me.
Yes, thank you, Giovanni. I wish I can have one more question with you, but looking at the time. But let me throw the question, even if you don't have an answer. We mentioned about a tea in UK costing $200, a CTCT, and many more products. Now, Rwanda, East Africa, focusing on CTC. Is there now a room for a CTCT that can be bought in the country at such price, directly by buyers?
Well, look, deconstructing the existing value chains where in Europe or in the West, we make outrageous margins. I think it's it's very tough, and I think it's impossible. My suggestion is that, is Africa get involved yourself, have your own trading companies that actually, end up selling tea or coffee or whatever commodity at those prices to the Europeans. And yeah, that's my solution.
Thank you, Giovanni. So, JJ, you sit inside the trade development. So, what is your take? What do you have to share based on your perspective?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. I guess to start, I think we've all been talking about how we are not drinking our products. But I think many years ago, if you ask the many people around here if they know coffee, they will tell you the former secretary of the United Nations, Kofi Annan, or the Congolese singer Kofi Olumide. So at least today we are seeing more people who know what coffee is. We are seeing coffee shops on the streets. There is progress already, and it's important to be hopeful and use that hope as we go forward. Now, getting back to the question, we are talking about trade and logistics, but to trade, you need a commodity. Here we are. We have coffee and tea. But even having coffee is not enough. And I want to talk a little bit about coffee in Rwanda, a bit of what the government has done, but also what the private sector is doing. So if you went back like 20 years ago, you probably wouldn't have walked in any store in Europe or in the US and saw a coffee pack that read Rwanda on it. Because at the time, coffee was still a, the traditional commodity that, people knew it goes somewhere. Many of the farmers did not even know that it becomes a drink. They will just grow it because they know it's a tree, it will give fruits, and you harvest the fruits, you sell the fruits, you get the cash, and that was the end of the story. When the government realized the potential and started investing in raising quality by promoting the construction of wet mills so that farmers can harvest coffee, they deliver to wet mills, professionals handle the processing, and the quality you get in the end was high. Then many of the international buyers actually started looking at Rwanda differently, and many wanted to come to Rwanda to buy directly high quality coffee from Rwanda that they then go and market as single origin. And that has raised the name of Rwanda in the coffee sector in many ways. I note also that the government has done a lot of efforts in terms of promoting Rwandan coffee and tea, just to ensure that people know what we have, that they know that we have the quality that they are looking for. On the private sector, if I focus a little bit on the company I manage, Rwanda Trading Company, when we started in 2009, there were quite a number of wet mills around the country that still needed support on how to actually, get the quality from there, access to financing, understanding the global market. And we came as a company, we supported wet mills to understand how you actually operate a wet mill to attain the quality needed, to attain the ratios and the outturns needed, and turn them into profitable businesses. We had a good understanding of the global realities that we could then align our operations with the global commodity market, which has helped overall, again, increase the trade or the exports of Rwandan coffee. So to what we are talking about today, I think having the commodity is one thing. Knowing where you want to position yourself in that commodity industry is very important. And that's where, as a country, we've chosen to focus on quality, because that's where there is more value. But then once you've understood those basics, I think then you start also exploring additional ways of improving and growth. And I think that's where the issues of what Giovanni was mentioning, that today we have good quality coffee, very high on demand by many of the global top brands. Now we need to go back in our farms and see how we can boost that productivity, because that's what's going to allow us to then provide what our clients are asking for. We have the quality, but they need the volumes. So if we can do both, then we'll actually be doing much better, and it's going to benefit everyone in the supply chain, from the farmers, from the traders, and the reputation of the country as an origin where good quality coffee comes from is just going to continue to increase. Let me stop here for now.
Thank you, JJ. So moving forward, it looks more like we have the product, we have the infrastructure that are supporting our activities. We, from the business perspective, I see we are lacking of business strategy, because having listened to Giovanni and JJ, we do have a quality product, but we don't know how to take it to the market to meet the prices that others are fetching. Logistic, yes, but what the level in which we are trading now, the logistic available now is helping the movement forward. Although, I will quote George, we need a ship that will take the product from Kenya to Nigeria. This is something that we have to remember. Talking about policies, Africa free trade, we have seen a lot of development. I would like you to target the issue of logistics, if it's a conversation that is going on among the organization.
Of course, Martin. At the AFCFTA level, together with state parties, the AFCFTA has developed a mechanism that is called the African Continental Free Trade Area Adjustment Fund Facility. Of course, having in mind the challenges and having mapped out the challenges that African state parties need to implement the agreement. What the Adjustment Fund Facility seeks to achieve is that it's a fund for state parties to utilize in terms of developing the much needed infrastructure, and for private sector to put themselves in the position to be able to trade and expand their export trade under the agreement. And state parties are able to get a grant from the Adjustment Fund Facility upon showing that they have started trading under the AFCFTA, and these are the challenges that they are facing on their daily, trading business. The challenges could be loss of fiscal revenue, because we all appreciate that our governments rely on our on tariff, for our fiscal, revenue. So if you prove that as a result of your trade liberalization, because your trade liberalization will actually mean you are reducing the tariffs on those specific goods, which is tea and coffee, which is the mainstay for the region, for this region, the East Africa region, it's the leading region on the production of tea and coffee in Africa. If you show that your tariffs have your tariff basket is actually diminished as a result of the tariff reduction, the AFCFTA Adjustment Fund allows the government to get a grant from the African Afrexim Bank project that the AFCFTA has developed. And enterprises that are already trading under the agreement, they are able to apply for a loan if they are already on the export business. They will say, I'm already in export business, and I'm using the AFCFTA agreement as a basis for my trade, and these are the challenges that I want. Either I want to increase my export, trade production, or I want to employ more staff because I have got this market under the AFCFTA. The Adjustment Fund has those two windows that will facilitate loan to governments for building infrastructure that is relevant, that is related and relevant for increasing trade under the AFCFTA, and for the private sector to actually be in a position to increase their export business under the AFCFTA. It is important again to note that you should show that you need this money because you've already started trading under the AFCFTA. We've got other mechanisms like the non-tariff barriers online mechanism, whereby traders are able to report on real time the challenges that they are facing on moving their goods between the state parties. We've got the trade corridors that have been developed under the AFCFTA that facilitate trade between the proximity of the regions. We've got the trading companies, the AFCFTA trading companies, that are able to work with SMEs in the respective state parties to say, let's aggregate our products, let's be in a position to ship our products as a one consignment and sharing those costs. Those are the AFCFTA can never be told in 2 minutes. It's a huge story to tell. It would be very much unfair to compress all of that and be able to tell you what the AFCFTA is doing, but there is a lot that is happening. And the Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Trade in Rwanda is the focal person is the focal entity for the AFCFTA relations and discourse. If any business leaders in the room want real information on what the AFCFTA is doing, the Ministry of Commerce, of Trade and Industry for Rwanda is the first point of call to say, yes, we are here. We want to know much about the AFCFTA. What is it that is there for us? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So going back to JJ, having heard what she said, do you think there's an opportunity, or is just a dream that we might not see anytime soon?
I mean, the opportunity is definitely there. Yeah. I think, like our colleague who was presenting earlier mentioned, the size of our continent is big when you look at the population. Yeah. And you go to West Africa, you enter the supermarkets and you see the coffees and teas being drunk. They've been imported usually from Europe. Again, they could be coming from the countries in Africa that produce them. Of course, the barrier on the cost of transport, I think, so far remains the highest burden. But once those logistics barriers are figured out, I think the speed of intra-Africa trade will increase, and many of the entrepreneurs will probably start looking at opportunities to enter those regions that could become markets. So today, some entrepreneurs might be limited because they know the cost is almost forbidding. But once the costs are figured out, the entrepreneurs will definitely run to take advantage.
Yes, a very quick one. Are you trading now in Africa?
Very limited. We mostly export outside the continent.
Okay. Giovanni, you mentioned about what clients want. Do you think, is it fair for the current situation where we are in now? When I mean by fair, I mean by can we deliver in the current situation where we are? I look at the whole Africa.
Well, as I mentioned, for me, one of the key issues remains productivity, and I think that productivity in Africa all over needs to really be addressed. Starting with Rwanda, but also in neighboring countries, including Ethiopia, who's the biggest producer. We are far away from other countries like Brazil, Vietnam, and Colombia. Now, I'm going to speak as Honorary Consul of Italy and also as President of European Business Chamber. And, Malanga was talking about AFCTA. So AFCTA, it's a great initiative. I really believe that's something that, that needs to continue. And, look at what the EU is doing. The EU is a project that is 70 years in the making. And that's actually where Europe, under the Global Gateway, and I'm sure that Belen can tell you much more about that, but also Italy with Piano Mattei, we understand that, it is critical for Africa to develop in general, to develop, inter-regional trade, and therefore, corridors, roads, and so on that allow countries to trade. And I can tell you that Piano Mattei is indeed, which is a plan that Italy has developed, and they have 18 countries. Rwanda is included in these countries. They really want to help these countries to develop infrastructure, including, a road, and therefore, facilitating trade.
Okay. So, in one word, unlocking trade, logistic, and market access. What do you have to say? Just to conclude.
Well, yeah, investment. You need investment.
Thank you.
At the end of the day, you need investment in both to increase productivity and to develop, logistics.
Thank you. Over to you, JJ.
Definitely the opportunities are there. Of course, the size of the investment does require partnership from both government and private sector. Thank you.
Yes, Rita, please.
Yes, unlocking trade for me looks like data integration, end-to-end seamless data integration to make sure that the borders are paperless, that we spend minimal time to evacuate cargo, even as we trade amongst ourselves.
Yes, Martin, please, your last one.
For me, I see that around logistics, one, we need partnerships and trust, and secondly is aggregation. There is massive saving in economies of scale, and we are working towards that. We are looking at pre-positioning this. For the ship to sail, we can pre-position all this cargo in the country of destination, jointly with proper regulatory policies, proper finance partners. This volume will move from Africa to within Africa, and it will be available to the end user.
Thank you. Please, Mona Linda, your last words.
Let us be intentional in achieving the full implementation of the agreement and allowing our private sector to leverage the benefit that lies therein. And the AFCFTA Secretariat stands ready to assist. Thank you.
Thank you. So, as a closing word, I will first of all appreciate the panelists, and also from the business perspective, as I mentioned before, we have seen the industry of tea and coffee in Rwanda growing, especially signing on quality and being referred by different global buyers is an effort that have been made. But however, we realize that our production is not where it's supposed to be. Of course, we are a small country, and the infrastructure is, in terms of policies or the physical infrastructure, is well maintained in Rwanda. We've been seeing business growing. I would like just to highlight, because this panel was focusing on policy perspective and logistic and infrastructure. Business as well can have their take. When you are a trader, how do you position yourself? What product do you have? What strategy do you have moving forward? Access to finance. How do you do that? Where are the partners? All those questions need to be answered by the business. And when the business will step forward, I think the business will grow. And looking at where we are today, we can appreciate and we can be grateful to have people who are watching this industry, tea and coffee. We act mainly on tea. I represent a company called Rwanda Mountain Tea. And looking at all the scenario of tea, the tea industry, and the hardened, reaching clients, selling to West Africa, I thought writing a book that the team can, how to unlock the tea industry, how to sell tea in the international market. We tend to stick in one platform, which is the tea auction. We can as well move into something different. Thank you very much for today. Thank you for your time. Please, let's appreciate the team, and may the expo continue.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Martin. Thank you to the panelists as well. Can we please appreciate them as they leave the stage? A round of applause one more time. You want a group photo for them? Okay, can we take a picture? Just a picture? Yeah. All right, thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you for segueing us into what we are just about to do as part of our traditions at events. We always say, na photo. Oh, yeah, na photo. Na chavai. So we're going to do a very, very interesting session now. And I'd like to invite the Honorable Minister to join us on a stage. The ambassadors who are in the room, the members of the Diplomatic Corps, representatives of embassies that are here in the room. And I'd also like to call the leads for our sponsors at AGL, FAO, EATTA, Gorilla Coffee, Venice Tea Brokers, Atlas Tea Brokers, and Tea Brokers East Africa. Please join us for this family photo of remembrance of the second edition of the Africa Coffee and Tea Expo, where we are brewing for prosperity. The camera persons, please help us to get the best shot from this. Congratulations to all of us for assembling here for one purpose, to ensure that the conversations continue, but we prepare for the action to be able to ensure that our coffee and tea industries are prospering. I think that's an amazing take. I'm told you need to smile a bit. Just, you're happy, guys? All right, photographer is happy, we are happy. Can we give them a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you very much. Right now, I want us to allow the Honorable Minister, flanked by the CEO of NAEB and all the members of the Diplomatic Corps, to tour the exhibition sites. And of course, for the rest of us, we'll also be able to join them and be able to witness some of the exhibitions that are taking place right here at the Africa Coffee and Tea Expo 2026. I would like to also remind all of us that we have the barista competitions that will be taking place at 2 p.m. So please do feel free to go and witness that. Can we give a round of applause to our guests, the Honorable Minister and the delegates who are here with us? Another round of applause, please, ladies and gentlemen, as we close the official opening ceremony. We'll see you again later on in the course of today and tomorrow as the expo continues. Thank you very much. See you in a bit.
Actually, hari n'umuhinzi uri hano. Iyi foto. Sorry. So hajya hari amakawa atandukanye. It's not working. It's fine. They just want.
I wanted to take them around.
I will be back maybe. You are here for 2 days.
Yes. Thank you.
Kericho.
Chocolate. Good morning. Chocolate, man. Yeah. So I think we are the only company in Rwanda. Like you said in your speech, giving the value instead of doing everything out of the country. So 13 people in Musanze are making all this packaging. This is packaging we make for Marriott, for Radisson. It's not done in Kigali. And we have our chocolate. Here you can taste. So these are the pure chocolates. This is chocolate. Yeah, and this here we added with the taste of lemongrass. Here we add coffee bean. See, this is specially made for coffee bean is inside. And then once no, this is the lemongrass. So here. Then we start making with all kind of molds. Like this, like this. Now recently, can I give you this one? This one. Taste it. And then you can have let me give this. See, inside there is a filling. Here it is with like ginger.
So we are blooming company. We only sell and export people just want to sell it. So there's one for honey crops. This is a 2025, and then this 2026. That's a new crops. I'm sure you can tell. Yes. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yes. Yes. So this one, it is because it took time to relax.
This is 9.
Yes. Very good test. Thank you. Thank you very much, Minister. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. You're very good.
president. Okay, well, you saw me, I was also in the time. And yeah, so the purpose is, on one hand, to centralize, when, well, to represent, as I said, the interests of European businesses in Rwanda, and also to attract European investors into Rwanda.
So why if I get more time, let's go to the parliament shortly. You are a candidate tomorrow.
I live here.
So let's organize another talk.
Sure, I'll give you my card. Okay, so
I will tell Naiba to organize another talk.
Sure.
And then we get more time to understand. Okay, the listeners around. Okay.
ko ari nziza rero ku masoko ntigaragara twahisemo rero kwihuriza hamwe kugira ngo tugire ikirango cyacu tureke ikigo Rwanda Coffee tuyikorera hamwe twitunganyiriza hamwe ubwiza bwacu bukaba bwizewe muri izo ntege wese.
Can we see it?
Izingiriza inganda n'amakoperative zikora agaciro ushobora no kugenda mu gihe cy'ikintu cyose dukora ikawa nziza ku buryo no ku isoko tuba tuzi neza ko ari iya kifu kuko niyo kibazo tugira cy'uko ugerayo bakayibura kandi bazi ko ari nziza ikirango aradibizanye kumpeza niyo europeyeni niyo porosesi turimo iyo batagiye bakabihindura.
I think